All right, I think we're 7
All right.
o'clock.
All right, the April 14, 2025 Arbor meeting is now in order. All members of the town council are present with the exception of Nina. And would you all please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Have a seat. I know we have at least one change on the agenda. So Zach, you want to make your change?
Yes, I would move that we move item 5I2 to the third item under new business. This is, I just wasn't specific enough, it was not meant to be under the dark sky section.
I'd like to add to that, if I can.
Hold on a moment. Okay, Roberta, go ahead.
I would like to add that we reorder the agenda for agenda item 5H, 1, 5I, 1 and 2, items 7A and B, and we move them up to the front because we have people here that are anxious to not have to sit through the entire meeting, and out of courtesy, we'd like to move them up to after item 3C.
I second all of it.
After item, which one, Roberta?
3C, sorry.
Okay, what was the third one, Roberta? You had 5HI1, 5I,
5H1, 5I, 1 and 2, and items 7A and B.
Can I add to that 5J1?
okay, so before we take any more, next time we do the agenda. Never mind. I'm gonna make a sarcastic comment, but since I'm on the record here, I better keep it to myself. Go ahead, Sean, I'm sorry, I.
5J1 Stormwater Task Force to ride along for the same reason.
I'll accept that.
I'll second.
Hold on a minute, hold on.
I think it's that whole block.
5J1.
I think it's the whole block after H.
Turn the agenda upside down and do it now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, that's a good point. Let's,
Everything after H.
yeah, everything about 5H. And everything that follows with the exception of 7A
6.
and B.
6, 7, 8.
7A and B wasn't close to being done.
7A and B, let them stay where they are.
I just.
I'd like to
Does
second.
somebody have a more of a profound solution to the dilemma we are confronting? Storm, you want to take a shot? And if not, Zach,
I believe.
tell us where we think we are. Now, the mayor knows, but I just want to make sure.
I think certainly. I think it's safe to say. 5H through 5J. And all sub items move forward. To wherever it was proposed. As well as. It was requested 7A and B, is that correct?
Correct.
7A and B, that was Roberta's, yeah.
And I'd like to second. The motion to move those items. We just.
I'm not sure what the motion is, George, and I'll take your second in just a second. Thank you.
I can restate the motion.
Okay, you got it, you think you got it all?
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to reorder the agenda for tonight, moving items 5H1, 5I, 1 and 2, 5J1, item number 7A and B to follow item 3C on the agenda for tonight.
Second. For the third time.
Now, George.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Sorry.
Just the, as long as we're clear that we also, in that, move the dark sky proclamation out of the dark sky committee and put it under new business. It was,
Yeah,
it's from Dark Sky International, which is not the town's dark sky committee, similar names, but we just should keep them separate.
yes, so that was an item that was not brought forward by the committee.
Okay, all right, I think we can handle that, is.
Direction is acknowledged and second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion? All right, motion carried unanimously and none opposed. So as the mayor is fumbling along, the five of you will make sure that I adhere to the motion, okay? Okay, Paul, all right. All right, so a public comment, do we have anything, Debbie?
No.
Okay, thank you. Mayor's announcements, I really don't have any, Nina is not here. Community announcement, Chris, you had something, before, Chris, wait a minute,
Andrew's here.
Andrew, do you have anything on behalf of the Park Service?
No, I told the town it is on her way, but
Okay.
she's not here.
We can rearrange the agenda. sorry.
Yeah, we're not even.
Coming in the door now.
All right,
This, Mr.
and
Mayor,
now, anything from the Park Service?
Oh, am I on?
I tried to sign, so it was like,
well, the uniform there.
The microphone's right on the podium.
Superintendent, how are you? Welcome.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Nice
Yeah.
to see you. A couple announcements from the park. The visitor center is now closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. Rangers will be concentrating on providing visitor information and services in Lower Town on those days. The park's main Cavalier Heights parking lot is open. Folks can still park there and hop on the bus and come on down. Our fee station is going to be closed Tuesdays and Wednesdays. If
Say that again, Superintendent.
the fee station, where we collect the entrance fee at Cavalier Heights. So I encourage everybody, if you have friends or family coming into town, to please make use of the mobile app to pay the entrance fee, when they're in the park. And the shuttle buses are running from 9 AM to 7 PM, which is their normal operating schedule this time of year. I hope you have seen our quite popular Facebook page or Facebook post about the peregrine falcons. They are back again and nesting on Maryland Heights again, and we do know there are eggs in the nest. So we're hopeful to see some additional peregrines with us later in spring and early summer. And finally, our deer management operations, which I had updated you on earlier this year, are now complete. We had no safety incidents and there were no cases of chronic wasting disease found in any of the deer taken in the park.
What was your total kill?
The take this year was, I think it was 20, I want to say 23 in West Virginia, and we had 10 in Maryland.
In Maryland, and then you know whether they were male or females or they were.
Oh, I don't have that information with me, so.
Superintendent, do you anticipate the changes with the visitor and the fee station and all that to continue through the entire tourist season or just temporary?
Hopefully temporary. We do have approval to hire seasonals, and we have those packages in to our HR folks at this point. And you may see some Facebook posts asking for folks who are interested to come join us. So we are hopeful that we'll be able to quickly for us is, maybe a month or two, have some folks on to help relieve some of the staffing issues.
And the second question would be the footbridge, the bicycle, ramp issue, was that affected by cutbacks? That project, I know that is not your responsibility. I
The
get
Byron Bridge project. My understanding from the CNO Canal, who have that project, is that they are working to get that awarded and on the ground. I believe they have awarded it actually. So I think that's gonna go forward. I don't know the exact timing. I'm not sure that they do either. All of our contracts are being looked at right now and reviewed, so I don't know what the status is of that review.
Thank you. Any other questions for the superintendent? All right, thank you.
Glad I made it.
Thank you. Chris?
Yeah, I wanted to get one brief report and then a couple of announcements. The Trail in Town had a trash pickup in Woodpecker Woods, which was land in all of mainly in Harper's Ferry, but some in Bolivar and some in the county. We had 14 volunteers. My guess would be ranging in age from 6 to 70, and got about 20 bags of trash. We appreciated Harper's Ferry's letting us use the dumpster on that. So a big cleanup. April 25th through 27th will be the flip-flop kickoff. And a lot of exciting things. I've heard around 70 flip-flop prospects or people intending to start their long distance hike that weekend will be attending. If anyone is interested in what's going on, I encourage you to go to flipflopkickoff.org. Particularly, I want to extend an invitation to everyone in towns, everyone in Bolivar and Harper's Ferry to attend our pancake breakfast. That will be Sunday morning, the 27th, from 7 to 9 a.m. at Camp Hill Church. It's a nice community event and a good chance to see off a number of the flip-flop hikers on their long distance journey. So it's a lot of fun. And the final thing I wanted to mention, our moving meetings for the Canal Town Partnership will be in Harper's Ferry Bolivar on May 14th. And we will be meeting in Bolivar Town Hall this year. Superintendent Gossett's going to be our guest speaker. And I want to just extend, we've had a lot of success in past meetings here in Harper's Ferry Bolivar, having the town mayors and council members present and representatives from ATC and the Park Service. So I want to welcome anyone who would like to attend that.
What's the title of that event?
That's from 10 to noon on Wednesday morning, May 14th.
That's the Canal Towns Partnership.
Thank you.
Anything else, Brittany? Any other council member have a public announcement? Go ahead, Zach.
One quick announcement that this Saturday, April 19th, Harper's Ferry Parks and Rec will be holding the annual Easter egg hunt at the town gazebo park. These are Easter eggs, not peregrine eggs, so it's all good. Children of all ages are welcome, but children from 1 to 12 are welcome to participate in the hunt.
Tom Secretary.
11 a.m. And we'll be hiding the eggs beforehand if anybody wants to help hide the eggs. It takes way longer to hide them than best to find them. Thank you.
Roberta.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to item 3A, since it's on the agenda. Do we have any update to the opening of the Hilltop House?
Yeah, the only thing I know about.
Oh, I had it.
Yeah, is that they're working on the overlook. That should be open within the next day or so. Okay, they're in the process of putting up a fence so that people don't wander. Because it is off the road, it is a little dangerous with the foot and everything. I know they were working up there today. Sure.
And then the resolve of home harmless agreement was resolved. I know that was an issue.
Yes, the two attorneys worked that out.
Okay,
As far as I know, and that counsel, the reason for the delay, there was an issue that was brought up. About a whole harmless agreement between the town and Swan that was approved in the street use agreement years ago. And so the agreement had to be worked through by Ken Sayer and Mike Funk, the attorneys of record. And I believe that's all taken care of and they're moving forward.
and that whole harmless is on file here in the office that we can review.
That I don't know.
Okay,
You want a copy?
eventually I think all town
Yeah,
council members should have a copy. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other announcements, Storm?
Yeah, I'll be brief. So I met with the representative from the power company last week. I among other things, that could be covered another time when they're on the agenda. He brought, to my attention a House Bill 2014 that would allow for the construction of data centers that could include what they're calling microgrids, which effectively would mean, if it's passed, that if you are putting up a large data center, you would not go through the power company. You can, without any other authority other than a state office, be able to put in any type of power generation that they care to approve. So there's no action on that, I think, right now for us, but it's something that's coming fast and may affect us.
What is the House bill number again, please?
2014.
Thanks, Norm.
So it's in committee.
It has been passed by both the House and reconciled. The Senate has not yet been signed by the government.
Minutes, I mean, did we get any, okay. Move to 5 now, in line here, go to 5A.
5H1.
5H1.
We're down.
Sorry, we're on.
Tree
So,
committee.
you guys can do your job.
And 5H1.
5H1.
Start, there's one section.
Okay. H1, discussion action regarding Arbor Day proclamation. Is that where we're at? So we are.
Do we have a tree committee here?
You do, but I'm hoping. The proclamation, Arbor Day proclamation, I'm hoping that I can talk Storm into reading it again. I revised it just enough.
Oh, you need one little.
It's over there at the podium, just go to
It's
the
in the
podium.
packet.
Well, I have one here for you, Storm. Yeah, I just wanted. Introduce Storm, who's gonna read the proclamation.
Well, first we need to discuss and vote. Is you it?
Discuss the proclamation. Oh, well, proclamation is something that we do every year. Tree City USA requires it as part of being a Tree City USA.
Okay,
And then we have to have it's what it is, a proclamation saying when we're Arbor Day and we're celebrating Arbor Day.
okay, so the chair will take a motion from the floor to approve the Arbor Day proclamation, then I will ask the acting recorder to read it to the record. Okay.
I move to approve the Arbor Day proclamation.
I second. Is there a second? Chris, discussion on the motion. All those in motion, raise your hand. Opposed, 0, motion carries 6-0. I'm gonna ask the acting recorder.
Okay. Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morgan proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first absorbed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products, and whereas trees in our town beautify our community, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, shade the folks getting in their 10,000 steps, and increase property values. I did not have that. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, parentheses, provided they aren't invasive trees like Bradford pear or lanthus, end parentheses, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Gregory Vaughn, Mayor of the Corporation of Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, do hereby proclaim the 26th day of April 2025 as Arbor Day in the Corporation of Harpers Ferry, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees and to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Dated this 14th day of April in the year 2025.
Thank you, Storm.
Okay.
If you could sign that today in there, that'd be great.
I do want to say, Christie and Robert, thank you for all your efforts on putting these kinds of things together. Appreciate that.
And Mayor, I understand there's gonna be a tree planting on the 26th, is that correct? Christie?
two trees. One is gonna be going at 1227. In front of their house on Westwood, and the other is going to be. That new big stone house on Fillmore. I don't know the address of it. But the one that got all the lawsuit, the lawsuit house.
The rear,
Huh?
the Reardon family.
Yeah, the Reardon family, and that's gonna be a white fringe tree that's about this high. The state has been giving us two trees instead of just one because they like us so much. The other one is a native dogwood, and it's higher than the one.
Thank you, Kristen. Okay, next item is Dark Sky Committee, a general update from the committee.
We have the chair of the committee, Karen Segisi.
Good evening, everyone. It's gonna be nice to show my face once in a while as the chair. I also wanted to bring you up to date where we are, because we're at a kind of a pivotal point. Up to this point, we've been meeting, we've had a stakeholders meeting where we invited companies, entities, those who provide services in our town. And we had an open house on the 3rd of April at the church. We had about 20 people show up. We had some displays there. We had a display that had the different colors of lights, so people could visualize that. We had actually one of the lights from, it was one of the old lights from town. We had that there. Zach prepared a map so that people could put pins in the map where they felt like more lighting was needed or where there was problematic lighting. And then the local Dark Sky chapter did a really nice glossary display for us. And we had a presentation, and then we had a moderated discussion. I think that went very well. We followed that up with, right now we're doing an online survey. And from that, we gave it 2 weeks. There's several more papers, but we've done a QR code for it as well as a link. Put these different places in town, put it in the library. If you do have someone that you know of that needs assistance with doing this, saying they don't have a computer or they're uncomfortable working with the computer, I'd be happy to meet them at the library and just sit there and guide them through it. If anybody needs help. So this closes on Friday. You'll see me again next month. I'm on the agenda, and I'm gonna come back and we're gonna be giving a generalization of some of the results we have. And the reason this is kind of pivotal is we're moving now into working on our recommendations to town council. So we've spent a good 8 to 9 months really digging into at least five sets of ordinances from towns that share a lot of the qualities of Harpers Ferry, whether it be the size, the historic, the tourism. So we try to mirror our town with towns that already have lighting ordinances. And then we wanted to get as much input as possible from the community so that when we do come up with recommendations to town council, it represents something that our town wants and is something that fits our towns. Do you have any questions for me today?
Karen, could you just, for the record, recognize the members of your committee?
Yes, the members. I am chair. Our vice chair is Kathy Gray. Storm is our recorder. And then Zach, what's your okay, yeah, he's also a council representative. And then Zach represents the planning commission. Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
Okay, so you're still on 1I2, you have to be done.
I2 was moved to the end of new business. It's not related to the Dark Sky Committee, so it just moved.
I know, but I thought we would still want to do that under
It's still,
getting it out of the way, because there's people here that want to.
it's still not there.
It's moved up, it's just in a different
Still moved up?
section. Yes.
So we're on the J1.
Yes,
Discussion and action regarding an appointment to the Stormwater Task Force. Norm?
yeah, it's been a while, so a little background, but not too much. The Harpers Ferry Stormwater Task Force was initiated by Mayor Vaughn in September 2021 to work with Region 9 to review and update the 2011 stormwater plan and in general to address the town's stormwater needs in a holistic manner and to seek grants for upgrading the town's stormwater infrastructure. A grant was secured from this process so far to produce a stormwater and green infrastructure general plan. And the next phase is to seek grants to have engineering plans drawn up for specific projects. There's currently one immediate opportunity with the Chesapeake Bay Trust and 2 others coming up. The planning commission seat on the task force is currently vacant. Having that seat filled is essential to moving forward in a responsible manner. And the head of the task force, which is me, asked the chair of the planning commission, which is Zach, to consider asking the commission to put Jesse Melton forward for the seat. And I understand that this recommendation was voted on and made. So at this point, I would like to nominate, when the floor is open, Jesse Melton to serve on the Stormwater Task Force as the Planning Commission representative.
Okay, are there any other nominations from the floor? Do a roll call vote on the one nomination, which is Jesse Melton, Storm Deacon Stanley,
Yes.
Roberta,
Yes,
George,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Congratulations, I guess. Very hesitant on that, Jesse.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. That word.
7A.
All right, discussion and action regarding contribution to the Trouble Social Service Coordinator position for Jefferson County for fiscal 26. Should have a copy of that. There's a request that came in from Edwina, who is on the Jefferson County Commission. I'll open it up for discussion before I call for a vote. Roberta?
yes, thank you, Mayor. I did read the document and I understand you're asking this particular municipality to split $28,000 plus. So my questions back to the presenter, I was hoping they were here tonight to explain this for us, is how is that 28,000 plus divided amongst those smaller municipalities? My hope is that it's just not cut into 4 pieces of pie and we pay equally, because our population is far less than Ranson's and far less than Bolivar and et cetera. So I would hope that our share, if we do contribute, is based on our population or some kind of, how do you say, calculator or algorithm, and we don't have to pay greater than our share, and I'll leave it at that.
I get all that, I think we do, and that's a common thing when all municipalities are asked to contribute on something, is we are always at the bottom because of its population base. Storm, you had a question?
Well, a question and based on the answer, a comment that's related to what Roberta said. Have they asked for a specific amount?
No, I don't know where.
Okay, I did pencil it out, just based on the entire population of Jefferson County, the dollars. It would work out to be a little less than $1,000 based on population if we're split on a per person basis.
Yeah, now, if you look at, you all have a copy of this. Okay, if you look at it, I find it interesting that this is a Jefferson County Commission initiative, correct? Right. The Jefferson County Commission, the monies that they have, as I understand it, far exceed the monies that any municipality has. And I find it interesting that the county commission has budgeted $29K, whereas the city of Charlestown has budgeted $35K. Now, as a municipality, I'm not sure why a municipality is being asked to fund a county initiative. Okay, that's one thing to keep in mind. And I'm not questioning how worthy this issue is. That's not the issue. We don't, as a municipality, we don't ask the county commission to help us fund initiatives that fall under our purview, even though those initiatives have a major impact on the county itself. So I find it curious that we have the county commission requesting assistance, and I'm sure this is a worthy issue. I just find it kind of interesting, and I think it goes along with what Roberta and Storm are saying on this too. I mean, if we want to put a motion on the floor to support it, you know, I won't have a problem with that. I'm just raising a little bit of background as to whys and the wheres, et cetera, coming from the municipal head, Storm, and then, George.
Yeah, I'll say that personally, I don't have enough information if there were a representative from the county here to walk us through it, but as it is, I don't see how we can do our due diligence on it.
And George,
Mine was along the same lines, only more fine tuned than Dawn's response. I would want to know the scope of services provided by the coordinator. And coordinator is by nature not a service provider. So I need to know what agencies and what assistances that person was doing. I need to know, I need to see an organizational chart. If they do come here, I want to see an organizational chart as well as job description of the facilitator. Thank you.
now, I know, we were asked by the county commission to fund refreshments for an event that the county commission, remember that, Debbie? They wanted us to participate and provide monies to supply refreshments for an event that the county commission was hosting, and we did not do that. So, Roberta, go ahead.
Okay, I'm prepared to make a motion.
Sure.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone action tonight and request that the county representative hopefully attend our next meeting and give a full presentation outlining the scope of services, outlining job description, and outlining an organizational chart and defining the amount of money divided amongst the municipalities and how much our responsibility will be.
Second that.
Let me call for a second. There may be a simpler way to do this, other than that, Roberta, but, I mean, I'll defer to that motion, but I think there might be a simpler way to arrive at the same solution as opposed to bringing somebody here and going through all of that at the next meeting. But if the rest of you are satisfied with that, I'll then ask for a second. Chris, before I call for a second.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that rather than make that motion, that we refer it to budget and finance, and hopefully by that time we can dig a little bit more and perhaps talk to someone with more information about it, and also find out how much money we would have to it. I think it's a cause that is greatly needed, including here in Hubbardsburg. We have had in the past a bit of transit population in the woods and on the streets, and I know that our fire company, our emergency services have been called for these issues. I think it's important for us to support it in some way. But yeah, I would also like to know more information. I think by budget and finance might be a good place to get.
Let me go, before I call for a second, George, and then I'm gonna go to Roberta, so.
Yeah, this is my second comment. I know it's my last. I think at some point, if it passes the hurdle of the council, then it could go to budget and finance. But the debate right now is policy, not finance. It's policy. We don't even know what you said. Yeah, it's a good cause. We even know what it is. We have no clue, other than those general terms, about what services are provided. Whether we have the money or not, irrelevant. We always have something to do with money. So that's my take, is ought to go to the council first, and then if it passes our muster, then certainly budget and finance.
Okay, last comment, Roberta, from you, then the last from Chris.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, George. That's exactly where I was going. I think it comes here first, and then town council decides whether it's worthy. And if we need budget and finance to consider it, then we as a town council pass it to budget and finance. So I would like to call the vote and have the seconded that the motion stands as presented.
Chris, did you have one?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we do know who provides this service, not the individual, but Jefferson County Ministries. And if we read the paper, we do know what kind of services they offer. It's homeless shelters and
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Chair, may I call for a second? Is there a second? Second on the motion, we got a second from George. Any discussion on the motion? Zach?
Just not debating the merit of this or not, but since we just did a lot of work in finalizing the budget for the coming year. Hypothetically, if we had a request like this, is there room or where in the budget would that come from? And I guess defer to Debbie and if that's possible.
Well, it's always possible to make amendments to the budget. In fact, we're required to do one in July. So that's where that could happen.
So it doesn't, the timing still works, okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion, Roberta? you got a-
Yes, and thank you, Zach, for bringing that up, and we are in a deficit in our fiscal year preparation and for future,
We're
fiscal
not,
year
we're not, we're
2025,
not.
fiscal year 2026.
We are
I
not.
believe we had a
We are not.
$71,000 deficit, excuse me, I have the floor, do not interrupt me. But I believe we were presented with a deficit for fiscal year, and so that's a very good point, where would this fit in if we were going to switch it in, it's a lot of money.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 3-2.
Thank you, Roberta.
Okay, no, why not, there. Good. All right, discussion action regarding structural engineer report recommendation regarding Boundary Street and Henry Clay. Approximately 2 weeks ago, Zach and myself and Patty met with structural engineer, an engineer from the firm of Alpha. We spent time at Henry Clay, at the issues on Henry Clay, right, at the backside of the childcare facility. And then we went to Boundary Street and looked at the issues on Boundary Street. The engineer that was with us felt that the issue went beyond his expertise. And he wanted to defer to his home office in Morgantown, where they have structural engineers that specialize in this. He referred it to Morgantown. You have a copy of the 2 invoices, the 2 recommendations from Alpha Engineering. One of them was for 4,300 and the other one was for 9,500. And what that would get us would be a structural engineer's report on what needs to be done specifically on those 2 streets. So that's before us on both those properties that fall under our jurisdiction.
Quick question, I'm okay with what was presented on Henry Clay, however, I have some questions on Boundary Street. And is it being proposed that that section from only Washington to Fillmore and to what side of Fillmore are you starting or stopping? And is it being proposed that the remedy would be to widen Boundary Street and to replace it with gravel again? And then my concern is, because we see many trucks getting stuck on Fillmore and the turnaround on Boundary, so I would strongly like to suggest that the Boundary Street portion be extended all the way through to the Paper Street of Boundary Street. And consider getting that entire right of way up to date and corrected, because as we understand, Boundary Street and Mason Way are public way and owned by both Bolivar and Harper's Ferry, and the congestion of trucks and what have you getting stuck needs to be corrected and needs to be done right. And I understand also from the OCO report, reading the OCO report, there might be 4 new houses being constructed on Fillmore Street, which, oh my goodness, the dump trucks and the building trucks and the trusses being dumped and what have you is going to affect Fillmore and Boundary Street intersection a great deal. So I would like the engineering report to be amended to consider what might happen further across Fillmore Street and all the way through Boundary Street, and considering widening that to the correct right of way. I think that would be a better solution to solve that problem.
Exactly.
Yeah, just 2 clarifications. I did join for a few minutes, I was not there for the part where you talked about Boundary Street, so I'm not as familiar with this, but the monetary amounts before us are the amount we would have to pay to get an engineer's report. And then we have additional decisions to make as to if we implement that strategy. This does note for the Boundary Street one, that due to the historic nature of Boundary Street, paving is not an option, so it would remain an unimproved street.
For that portion, but for the other portion. Going to the other side of the Boundary Street and fixing that horrible hill that's eroding quickly every time the truck gets stuck. It needs to be part of the proposal package, it needs to be looked at as part of the engineering package.
For a continued discussion, you might want to consider asking if any members of town council have direct personal interest in this.
I can answer that question. And I know where you're going.
George?
Okay, thank you. I get Roberta's point on the Boundary Street improvement. Whereas Henry Clay, we've already, as a council, voted to have an engineer's assessment done. And so this is kind of a fine tuning of that. We didn't vote this amount of money, but
Well, this is not an assessment. I mean, this is, the assessment will come if we pay. 4,700 and 9,500, that's where the assessment will
we're
come. And they
9,500.
will make recommendations to us.
Yeah.
We can accept the recommendation, we can amend the recommendation, we can edit the recommendations. That's up to this governing body.
Okay. So I'm straight saying it's Henry Clay, I think is pretty straightforward. Where Roberta's going on this is, it's not clear that the assessment that we're requesting includes the necessary things for turning up Fillmore, where, as you mentioned, there are 4 lots that we have imminent construction on. And it would be appropriate to say to get back to Alpha and say, you know, not only are we talking about Fillmore, we need to know an assessment of what we need to do to, excuse me, not only Boundary, we need to know assessment we have to do for X number of feet up Fillmore to accommodate 4 new developed lots, actually a 5th developed lot because of the house just completed there. So I was gonna suggest, I'm not making a motion, but my suggestion is we split these and say, sure, go ahead and have your engineers look at Henry Clay. But let's send this over to planning, the Boundary Fillmore corner, and get clearer idea of what our request is to make to the engineering company. So we don't have to come back at it and double up. It's just a practical matter.
These are large amounts. And I do feel like it is appropriate that it should go before budget and finance. Because if we're going to need to expend this, we have been conservative in our budgeting, we don't know what's going to happen. These are needs, but it would be responsible to look at it financially, and then once the assessment is done, things can be talked about the scope of the project.
Roberta, last comment.
Okay, I'm gonna make 2 points, I'm gonna answer Storm's concern. I can certainly respond to what's going on Boundary Street as a town council member. I might be a resident living in a property on Boundary Street, but I am not the owner. Okay, I'm not here speaking for the owner on behalf of the owner, I'm here speaking as a town council member concerned about the roadway in our town and what's happening in our future development for future housing in our town. So I speak in that regard, and I have every right to speak in that regard. So also too, my concern is the dollar amounts. An excellent point brought up by Storm. Are we to get bids? Are these dollar amounts required for us to get bids on so that we get 3 bids and we pick the best price to benefit the town?
Roberta, it took us
Fine.
6 months
Okay,
at least to get one engineer
totally good.
to come in,
Thank you.
okay?
Okay, understand. That's what I want you to put on record is that you've asked for.
I work nonstop
Thank
on
you,
it.
thank you.
Okay, they're not knocking our doors down saying we want to come in here and get, this was. I mean,
I wanted that
we're
that
not
on the
gonna
record
get,
for.
we're not gonna get 3 bids.
I know,
We're not gonna happen.
wanted that on the record for a reason, sir, so I appreciate it.
All right, so where are we going with this?
Motion to make.
Go ahead, Sean.
I don't believe there's a motion. I would support bifurcating it also, sorry, if we wanted to split them two like George suggested.
Go ahead, Storm, you got the floor.
I'll move to commit the structural engineer reports regarding the condition of Boundary Street and Henry Clay Street to the Budget and Finance Committee for fiscal review for fiscal year 26.
Second on the motion, second, Chris, discussion on the motion.
I'd like to amend the motion. That Boundary Street portion be extended to include the report received from Alpha Engineering regarding Boundary Street be held back and revised to include additional portions of Boundary Street and Fillmore Street.
Your second on the amended motion.
Second the amended motion.
Discussion on the amended motion.
Just a clarification, who would be responsible for making those edits in this communications that intended to be the mayor's office, at some point planning commission came up, I just wanna know who we're giving this responsibility to if.
We're gonna find out hopefully in a minute.
Okay,
Any other discussion on this amended motion? All those in favor of the amended motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion fails. Main motion. Any other discussion hearing on all those in favor of the main motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 4-2. Now
now we're back to discussion action on the dark sky proclamation.
thank you. We're now back on discussion action as Zach just stated, discussion action on the dark sky proclamation. You should have a copy of that. Zach, you wanna? lead?
Sure, yeah, I got this, we shifted it around because it does not technically fall under the Harper Surrey Dark Sky Committee. This does come from the Harper Surrey Bolivar chapter of Dark Sky International. Excuse me, by Jesse Milton. It's a proclamation to declare International Dark Sky Week, April 21 through 28th, 2025. I think we adopted a similar proclamation last year for Dark Sky Week 24. So yeah, this is before us, we have the text, I think there's 6 whereases, so if we adopt it, it's gonna take a moment to read, but we did that earlier, so.
Make a second to adopt.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the proclamation?
I'll move to approve the proclamation.
Okay, is there a second on the motion? We have a second from Storm, discussion on the motion.
Yeah, so I'll say I'm in favor of a proclamation, but I will say that this is work that the town's Dark Sky Committee has been doing. And that a proclamation at this point should reflect the thinking of that committee. Unfortunately, this came to us at the end of last week. And I did put together a version that I think does reflect the spirit. But again, there was no time to deliberate with Dark Skies. And this is drawn from Dark Sky International's model and slightly amended.
Can we see the portion, the proclamation yet? Compare that.
It was in the package.
We have a hard copy of that tonight. If you may have one, please, so I can make copies for the other council members. Anyone need a copy of what's proposed for this evening from your packet? Anybody wants a copy of
I have
that?
that.
Anybody want
But
a
I
copy?
don't have this one. so-
Compare notes?
No, you don't.
Zach, you need a copy?
No, I have digital.
George, you need a copy?
No, I
I
think
that would be like, paper is strong.
All right, chair's confused. Which proclamation are we approving?
The one that was, the motion and second was for the one from Dark Sky.
All right. Are there any other discussion on the motion to approve the proclamation that was in your packet or that is in your packet? We're very good.
Yeah, so does Storm want to go over line item, why he feels he needs to change it, or what?
I can, although I'll say,
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion
Okay, no,
to
I'm
approve
sorry.
the proclamation?
Sorry, it's my understanding that the International Dark Sky Proclamation should be the template we follow with some adjustment, so if there's something that's grossly out of line with what Storm is presenting, then he needs to say why he feels he needs to change it. Otherwise, I think it should go as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the proclamation that we have in our packet. Is there any other discussion?
That's the.
Chris?
I would like to hear, just a brief rundown of the differences. What, and particularly if there's any, specific concerns.
Yeah, hang on. I will outline. There's one clause that I believe is inaccurate. It alludes to stewardship and not being,
What paragraph?
I'm looking for it right now. Whereas the history of the Harpers Ferry stewards was not exposed to light pollution and reducing its effects aligns with that history. The history of this town, in fact, there has been street lighting for a long time, and some of it has been horribly bright. So I would move to strike that sentence.
All right. We have a motion, we have a second, we're in discussion. Are you
Seconded.
amending the motion, Storm?
You know what, I'm gonna let it go.
Are you?
It's fine.
Okay,
We're voting on the one in our packets.
correct.
That's the Dark Sky International.
Correct.
Correct.
Are there any other discussion on the motion to approve the proclamation that's in our packet? So we all know what we're voting on. So this one here. All right? All those in favor of this proclamation, raise your hand. Opposed? Motion carries 5-1. I'm now gonna ask Zach, if you would, for the record, to you kindly read it.
Yes, I'll read to make sure I have the right copy of this, I'll read it off my screen. And again, there's 7 whereases, so bear with me. Harpers Ferry, West Virginia International Dark Sky Week 2025, proclamation. Whereas the aesthetic beauty and wonder of the natural sky is a shared heritage of all humankind, and the experience of standing beneath a starry night sky inspires feelings of wonder and awe, and encourages a growing interest in science and nature, especially among young people and visitors. And whereas light pollution has scientifically established economic and environmental consequences, which result in significant impacts to the ecology and human health of all communities, and Harpers Ferry's environmental goals for years have included the reduction of light pollution. And whereas 80% of the world's population, including everyone in Harpers Ferry, lives under a dome of light pollution, excessive artificial lighting at night that disrupts natural darkness, and may never experience the visual wonder of ecologic.
Council. Go ahead, Jack.
May never experience the natural wonder or ecologic and health benefits of living under a dark sky. And whereas light pollution represents a waste of natural resources, contributes to diminished energy security, and significantly reducing light pollution would affect the environmental consciousness of Harpers Ferry residents. And whereas the history that Harpers Ferry stewards was not exposed to light pollution and reducing its effects aligns with that history, and whereas Harpers Ferry is home to dozens of species who rely on undisturbed night environments to hunt, mate, and thrive, and whereas Dark Sky International is a globally recognized authority on light pollution and has created International Dark Sky Week to raise awareness of light pollution and provide free education resources and solutions to the public to encourage the protection and enjoyment of dark skies and responsible outdoor lighting with the help of Harpers Ferry residents. Now, therefore, we, the Town Council of Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, do hereby declare April 21st through 28th, 2025 as International Dark Sky Week, and ask each resident to join in observing and pondering upon this important week, but also in raising awareness and support for our dark sky as a precious and irreplaceable resource. Dated this 14th day of April in the year 2025.
Thank you, Zach. You're all.
Thank you. And I ask the mayor to sign that tonight, please, so we have a copy of it in record.
And
and
the
sign.
original copy again. Okay, while Bert is doing that,
This is the copy from Pat that she needs to sign.
move to item number 4. I believe I'm correct in that.
I think we, yes,
And
You are seeing no minutes.
there are none. Right, out in the minutes.
Like going back and
So we will go to number 5A. Review and approval of financial report February 2024. I asked the finance officer to.
Okay, all right, well, good evening, Council and Mayor. This evening's financials are for the end of February 2025, representing 2/3, 66% of the fiscal year. This is revision 4. For the general fund, operating income is 73% of projected expenses, 73%, and projected expenses 72%. Revision 5 passed on March 26th will be in effect for next month's report and should adjust some expenses to reflect the current period's allotment more closely. In Waterworks, this is revision 2. Billing income is approximately 72%, expenses 64%. Cash flow report that was approved by Town Council has been completed and will be incorporated into planning for the fiscal 26 water budget that will be coming to the council in May. In general, however, the recommendation from the cash flow report is to hold off on an incremental increase until the effects of the staffing changes recently implemented, the meter project plan for the coming months, and the current construction project can be evaluated later in calendar year 2025 and early 26. Any questions on that?
On the financials.
Move to approve the financial report as presented.
Second on the motion, second. Chris, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, 0. Motion carries 6-0. Approval of invoices and purchases.
Invoices are on the table here if anybody needs to review. Any questions on any of those?
I move to approve the invoices and purchases as presented.
Second on the motion, second from George, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion to approve, raise your hand. Opposed, motion carries 5-1. Discussion and action regarding water improvement project fund bank balance.
Right, so under the USDA project that we funded project for the water plant, we had established a bank account to receive the funds that the USDA allotted to us when it was time to pay a bill. We held that account open. It has some interest in it, about $325. So what I'd like to do is ask for that account to have the interest except for $100 removed from the account and put into the water revenue account because it is truly revenue. And $100 remain in that account to keep it open. And then that account be established as the account to receive any governmental funds for funding the projects that we have coming forward. So we will use it to put the WDA money into when that comes in as when we review the resolution and that starts moving forward. When we get the meter project going and we get money from the EPA, the money will be held in there. Checks will be dispersed from there for that governmental monies transaction.
Questions?
Question.
Go ahead,
Can
Roberta.
I ask a question of Debbie?
Sure.
So you're saying that the balance in that account is $325?
Approximately,
Okay, why don't we just leave it alone? Why do we have to move money?
because it is truly revenue, it's operating revenue, and so it should go in the revenue operating account.
We move it later? Does it have to
No.
be moved?
It's sort of an audit accounting thing. I've reviewed this with our CPAs and, you know, you want the $100 in there to keep the account open because you're going to, and it also helps us recognize that the monies are being consumed as they should be. Because especially since we're receiving grant monies, you want it to be really clean that you've only got grant money in there and nothing else. And that way it doesn't get confused that it gets spent in another way. So that is the recommendation, that anything that's excessive to just keep it open should go into the revenue spending account.
I move to transfer all but $100 from the water improvement project fund bank account to the Harpers Ferry Waterworks revenue bank account.
Second on the motion, second from Zach, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, 0. Motion carries 6-0.
And I move to establish the water improvement project fund to hold funds received from governmental agencies for current and future construction projects and disperse payments as determined by town council resolutions.
Second on the motion, second George, discussion on the motion. All those-
What agenda item was that?
It's part of the.
It's still part of the three.
Like the first part is,
Okay.
is getting the account ready and then designating this account to be the receiver of government funds, which will then be used to pay for these.
Okay,
Any
so
other
part three had two parts.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, 0, motion carries 6-0. Discussion action regarding Harper's Ferry Title VI policy.
So this is, I'll just explain the background on this. We are, unfortunately, we thought when we had this, when the agenda was coming together, that we had a policy to present, but we don't. This policy is a result of working with the EPA on the meter project. As we did under the USDA, when we received funds from them, they required that we had a Title IX policy. This is a Title VI policy. It's basically an anti-discrimination policy that, even though we have like anti-discrimination things in our handbook, this has to do with the community that we serve. And so it is a little bit more involved than we had hoped. I'm currently working on pulling that together. We have an extension and hoping that it will be ready here in the next couple of weeks and come forward just for approval there. Yeah, so nothing today.
Okay.
Budget and finance.
Madam, I have a question.
Go ahead, Roberta.
Question, may I ask a question of Debbie, please?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you're saying that this Title V,
Six.
6 policy doesn't technically, the language doesn't technically exist? That we can look at,
Not at the moment.
okay, so that's what I'm hearing you saying, you're working on the language in partnership with EPA or?
In partnership with EPA and Region 9, our council that has already developed their own Title VI policy and it has been approved by the EPA. So I'm using that policy in developing our own.
Okay, and so what I'm hearing then is, because I was looking for it in the packet to review and I didn't find it. So it's my understanding from what you just said, the language for this Title VI policy doesn't technically exist and you're working on it and it will come to us in draft form
Uh-huh.
tomorrow at the special meeting?
No, it's
Okay.
not going to even be ready then,
Okay,
because we thought when we put together, when the mayor put together the special meeting agenda for tomorrow, we thought we'd have it then, but found out no.
okay,
It's
so
a little more.
the language is forthcoming.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Come on.
A brief question for the finance officers. Is it fair to say that dealing with things at the federal level right now are
Yeah, this is an anti-discrimination policy, and some of the tools are not there anymore for me to work with. So, yep.
All right, budget and finance, discussion and action regarding WDA, which is the Water Development Authority grant and approval of resolution number 6.
Okay, so Steve will provide more detailed information on the project progress and planned work. From a budgeting perspective, there are several adjustments in some of the project elements that will result in change orders. These will be covered in a little bit more depth in tomorrow's special town council meeting, and if the change orders are not fully prepared by tomorrow, which I've learned they will not be, there will likely be the need for a special town council meeting in the next few weeks to approve them so the project can continue to operate without interruption. But they are significant enough that you need to sort of understand them in concept and scope. So we'll just be discussing them tomorrow in more high level, in more in depth. And then for this past month of March, you have resolution number 6 in your packets. So I'll read that through. Resolution 6 of the town of Harpers Ferry approving invoices related to construction and other services for the water project and authorizing payment thereof. Whereas the town of Harpers Ferry has reviewed the invoices attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference in relation to the construction of the water project funded by the West Virginia Water Development Authority, EECG funds, and CNB Bank Construction Trust funds, and finds as follows. 1, that none of the items for which payment is proposed have been requested from another source. 2, that each item for which the payment is proposed to be paid is or was necessary in connection with the project and constitutes a cost of the project. 3, that each of such costs has been otherwise properly incurred. 4, that payment for each of the items proposed is due and owing. Now therefore be it resolved by the town council of Harper's Ferry that the payment of the attached invoices as summarized below are hereby authorized and directed. GDNF $28,350.12 from CNB and TerraWorks $731,259 from the WDA. For a total of $759,609.12 adopted by the council of the town of Harper's Ferry at a meeting held on the 14th day of April 2025.
I'm going to adopt resolution number 6 of the WDA grant as presented.
There's second on the motion, second Zach, discussion on the motion, Roberta?
Yes, quick question, and I'm doing the calculation, so the total that you want paid is 759,000 plus. So what percentage of the project is complete, and is this 759 reflective of the percentage of the project complete?
The $759,000 is reflective of all of the invoices and the data that you saw in the packet. Do not have a tally on the percentage of the project, and I don't think that it can be reflected as. I mean, well, okay, so are you saying?
So if we take 3.2 million. So we take 3290.
Okay, so it's a little less than a quarter,
I'm going to call the question.
so, what, I don't,
I think
Alright,
it's
sure.
valid that we put this on the record, so,
so it's a little less than a quarter.
may I ask a question of the project manager? Is the project manager Steve? No,
Motion's on the floor.
okay.
Call the question.
So I just wanted to put on the record that this payment is reflective of the amount of the project completed, and hopefully it is. And it would be nice if maybe the project manager can reassure us that it is on future approvals of the payment of these projects.
Thank
Since
you.
we are in charge of so much money.
Your comment is noted for the record. Any other discussion? All right, Chair's gonna do a roll call. Storm,
Yes.
Roberta,
No,
George,
Yes,
Chris,
Yes.
Zach,
Yes.
Mayor, yes, motion carries 5-1. Discussion and action regarding discussion of 2024, 2025, and 2026
Right.
CDS, congressionally directed spending.
So fiscal 24 CDS is the meter project, and that is the preliminary paperwork that we presented to the EPA is under review, and a component of that is the Title VI policy, which I just spoke about. So that is in process. Once that whole packet gets reviewed, we will then be going into the bid phase. Our bid is ready to be reviewed by the EPA and council, and so once that all happens, then we will be out to bid. So that will be very exciting. Fiscal 25 and 26, I'm gonna turn over to the mayor for a minute. And
All right, fiscal 25, CDS, congressionally directed spending. We got information approximately in November, December last year. To submit our request to both senators. We complied with that. We submitted a request for 6 point.
we did our request last year this time.
Yeah.
And we got approved. But then November and December rolled around, and February, we learned that
What was the?
it was 6.2 million project, about 5 million from the government.
Right.
Right.
And so then we just got information. a month and a half, 2 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, that all CBS throughout the government are on hold. And so the fiscal 25 was removed and deleted as across the government. Right? Now I have received information and let's see, fiscal 26 is open. And we are resubmitting the exact same thing that we did for 25. And I anticipate, and I have a discussion tomorrow with the financial officer for Senator Capito. And I will be talking about this tomorrow with him. And I believe that we have an excellent opportunity as we did with the 25. Because that was accepted and that was approved, however, the pullback, hurt everybody across the board. So I am very optimistic, that our 26 submission will be the 25 that we had that was approved. We're just gonna roll over to the 26.
And the dollar amount again for
I think
Yes.
it's somewhere around 6.3.
this one, are you gonna increase it? because of cost of living?
Well, we're not, we're,
I know.
I'm gonna discuss
Yeah,
that tomorrow
yeah.
with the Director of Appropriations.
Yeah.
For the senator. Debbie and I talked about that this morning at great length. It's got its pros and cons, Roberta,
Oh,
to
no,
do that, okay?
Yeah.
I don't,
Just
word
asking
the
a
point
question.
now, I just don't wanna rock the ship with our senators.
So it is.
That we're coming in now with an approved 6.3 that was approved before, and now we're saying, well, 20%. And I just don't think it's the right move, but I am gonna talk to the Director of Appropriations tomorrow. George,
You speak to him tomorrow, about what time?
3:30.
3:30. Given that we are a governing body, in which you're included, how do you feel about including council members who are willing?
Anybody that wants to sit in can sit in, but only observing only. No questions, you sit there and observe.
Just point of order, I think we would need a motion to do that.
Anything else?
You need a motion to do what?
Since we're the governing body, discussions about, funding and meeting with the senators, we would need a motion reflective of the whole body as to who could
It's quite true.
participate.
Also,
I don't
probably
think-
breach the open meetings
I
act.
don't
We have
think that
quorum.
this body,
It's true.
Would likely breach the open meetings act if there were a quorum of
If there
council.
are one, indeed. So
So this
this is,
special meeting called, is there any way that this item can float on the agenda?
Requires 2 days notice.
required 2 weeks notice. So it's a great, it's somewhat problematical, because, we are a governing body, and this is an extremely important matter. Now, I appreciate your initiative in setting up a meeting with the guy. Appreciate that. I'd like to be present,
you're certainly welcome to it.
and, I'm sensitive to the fact that there are other people here who, are more, who's sharper than myself financially, who want to attend. I don't want to threaten the open meetings act. Is there anyone else who wants to attend here?
I move that, if willing, George Owens and Storm Deacon Stands will join you for the meeting tomorrow.
Second on the motion.
I'll second.
All right, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? And the reason that the mayor is opposed, I am not going to come in here at a council meeting every time I want to set up a meeting. That I'm going to call for a town council vote. For me to be able to sit down with someone and discuss a matter for the town. That's not going to happen. I discuss with people every single day. Now, if you've got the time, George, every time I have a meeting or a telephone conversation with an official about town business. We'll call a meeting and you can come over here.
But I don't think that every day of the week you talk about $6 million.
You will be surprised.
Well, I stand, I'd like to be surprised.
Okay. Now, I'm telling you, it's not gonna happen.
I got it.
All right, where are we? Is that, you're reading these, right?
Yeah. I think you three.
Discussion action regarding the 26 budget process.
the balanced budget for fiscal 26 has been in the paper for 2 weeks. We will be laying the levy along with every other municipality in the town, tomorrow. At 10:30.
Thank you. Discussion action regarding Harpsburg Waterworks. Maintenance of mains, including renewal of maintenance on-call contractor.
Yeah, so we have our contractor who is on call. This developed out of the situation we had on Union Street. And then we have a number of contractors that we reached out to see if they would be willing to just be on call with Harpers Ferry for water emergencies. And currently that's Green Ridge Contractors, and it is an agreement that needs to be renewed each year. And in order for them to put up a bond that is required for them to do work.
Right, yeah, we have a standing contract that is renewable by the contract each additional year, so this is just to renew the contract. We have 2 consecutive years that we can do that beyond the first. So it's just the acceptance of that renewal. Effective, you would make it. You really should make it retroactively effective to the 12th of February.
And to be clear, this is not a contract that is obligating us to spend anything whenever something comes up, these projects get bid. So I move to extend the Harpers Ferry Waterworks maintenance contract with Green Ridge Contractors Incorporated retroactive to February 12, 2025.
Second on the motion, second George, discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, 0. Motion carries 6-0. Discussion and action regarding sludge removal at the water plant.
I believe there's no sludge today.
Right,
There's what?
There's no sludge today.
well, it still
Well,
needs to be,
there's
needs to be
sludge.
done, we're just not ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the item is gonna be postponed till next meeting?
Mm,
All right, discussion action regarding waterworks and town street paving. We've got that.
So there's not an action item, but I will, update from a comment that Zach had made earlier about the potential of combining paving for, from the project along with the town needs. And we did talk with the contractor about that. Their task in hand will simply be to repair the trenches that they have made. So the ability to go across the width is really not practical.
Thanks for the update.
And
Discussion action regarding monthly invoice review.
that really wasn't supposed to be on.
Okay.
That's a no.
So that item is being stricken?
Yeah, it's not
Right, got it.
it's on there on accident.
Police department, you've got the report, the chief is not here. You've got the OCO's report, any questions, let me know, I'll contact the OCO, if you've heard it.
Yes, I did have a question on that, anything else to cover? I think there's plenty now.
I can't hear you, word.
I'll pass, but I do have a question.
Planning commission report, Zach.
Yeah, a couple things under the general report. First, I want to thank all the members of the planning commission for undertaking a series of special meetings. I think we've had 4 or 5 in the last month. To go through the comprehensive plan draft with fine tooth comb. It's close. We still have to prioritize the different tasks and run it by our representative from the land use clinic. And then I think we're close to the public hearing stage. We're bringing it home. And then also I have from the planning commission a report of additional information related to an agenda item from several meetings ago. It was the rezoning of I can't remember, 460 Washington Street. I don't have that to present yet. The mayor wanted me to run it back by the planning commission, so we're going to do that at our meeting next week, next Tuesday, and then we'll have all the documents related to that. It's a report, just for the record. I think that's it for the general report, and we have a couple items specific. So as the chair, I'll move to E2. Discussion action on the lot line adjustment request for 189 High Street. This is not something we're approving tonight. The request is from the owner of 189 High Street. In general description, the structure, the house at 189 High Street is built in such a way that a corner overlaps the lot line. You have I think it's in your packet, you have the survey. So their request, it's a relatively unusual situation. They're trying to just adjust the lot line so that the house can be sold unencumbered and there's no issues. The unique situation because I think everything is based off a very old survey. However, we're still waiting on a couple signatures before we finalize this. To go by the letter of the ordinances, though, I believe we need a motion. Give me 1 second to pull this up.
I'd like to have discussion first before we go on that motion.
Yeah, it's on I just wanted to review, so. The way this works is that Article 1727, deals with exceptions and variances to essentially lot line adjustments. This is a situation where the planning commission has already voted in a majority that it's an unusual situation. And so the wording of Article 1727(01) says that the planning commission, with approval of the town council, may modify or vary requirements as needed. So I think what we need tonight would be a motion that town council authorizes planning commission to essentially take the shorter path, which is outlined in 1727, as opposed to going to the full public hearing, that we've done in the past. So when we're ready, I can
Put a motion on the floor, Jack.
I would like to have a
Put a
discussion.
motion on
before
the floor,
we-
Jack.
I move that where Harpers Ferry Ordinance Article 172701 allows the planning commission to modify the requirements of Article 1727 with the permission of the town council due to unusual conditions. That we, the town council, authorize the planning commission to do so for the proposed lot line adjustment at 189 High Street.
Is there a second on the motion? Second from Chris, discussion on the motion, Roberta.
Yes, and I presented this in our planning discussion meeting, so I'm here as a town council member now, kind of repeat the same things. Basically, what we received from the applicant was incomplete. And we did not have the full information from the OCO. The OCO did not finish his job to give us a full report to the planning commission, saying that the off-street improvements have been met, all requirements of all design, and the ordinances have been met. We have no official report from the OCO, either in this packet tonight or was presented to the planning commission. Also, I do not believe that, the town council should take any action on this tonight, because once it's presented to us, according to the ordinance, we have 30 days to consider it. And I strongly suggest this town councils, take those 30 days. What I also would like to bring to the attention of the drawings that were presented have this one little comment under one of the sketches. I'm gonna show this sketch right here, the box in the middle of the drawing. There's an item here which points to a property line. Note says, property line to be abandoned. Okay, so what does that mean? Is the property line that is recorded at the county being abandoned? And is a new property line being pushed out to the town right away, being approved? I think we have a problem here. So I think there's some gross discrepancies on what was presented. We asked for clarification, we asked for updated legal descriptions so that we know what we're approving. And we do not feel that an email from the adjoining property people is significant enough. I believe it says in the ordinances that there has to be some kind of written documentation from the adjoining property owners, and that I don't know what stage we're in, whether in preliminary plat or final plat, but there are rules and steps that we have to follow as a town council and a planning commission for preliminary plat and final plat, and that the prospective property owner wanting to subdivide needs to notice the abutting neighbors. So I really think this process is not being followed correctly, and I think that the planning commission needs to go back and really get the proper information on these documents and on these drawings and from the engineer, because we may have a property line that's pushed out into the right of way, and we as a town council and a corporation have not been noticed that the property owner is taking our property. Thank you.
Thank you, Roberta. Zach.
Just one update, which I've not been able to share with the planning commission yet, is that the applicant is in the process of getting those signatures. So this is unique. We've presented a few lot line adjustments here in the past, but they all involved two lots that were owned by the same entity or individual. In this case, we have essentially three different lots, three different property owners which are affected. And so we do need those signatures before we can finalize the final plat. The applicant is in the process of getting those signatures and says they will be ready by next month. So we won't approve anything until we have those signatures.
Okay. George.
I have a question for Zach. Zach, what are you asking? I hear what Roberta's saying. What are, you're not asking for the town council tonight to approve this on its merits or on its current information, but you're asking the town council to allow planning to consider this on its merits and obtain information. Is that accurate?
Yes,
Paraphrase
specifically
of what your motion is?
specifically to allow planning commission to invoke Article 1727 to consider this, which we have done pending town council approval. So it's a clerical step, just the way that we're written. That
So, for example, if the applicant failed to produce adequate materials and permissions and signatures, the planning could issue a recommendation that we not approve this matter.
They could, trying to balance both the, the smooth movement of this through the system and the interesting way in which Article 17,
Sure.
1727 is written. Planning Commission has already moved to move this to the town council, but we are not looking at it as the town council tonight because we don't have the signatures. We've been told that we will have the signatures by next week. So what we're doing here is giving Planning Commission the approval to make the motion, and then Planning Commission will formalize that motion next week. And then we'll be back here next month to actually debate
Okay,
the
okay,
merits of it.
Chris, you clarified.
Yeah, and I'm comfortable with the motion as it is, but I did have some questions as Roberta is noting about the plan. I didn't understand some things. The adjustment, the one red line was on just one side of the house, but the proposal is that adjustment on both sides, right?
That's correct.
Okay, and the other thing is, do we know that house is how old? Do we know that?
It's, from my understanding, fairly old. I can look up the tax record.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it probably predates the Howell map. So it's an interesting quirk of our town that you have these properties that go back before the official.
All right, Roberta, second and last.
Yes, and again, I think you have a fourth party involved, and that's the town. And so if these property lines are being shown, I think you are involving the town, the corporation Harpers Ferry, and taking the right of way. I also would like the questions asked is, why is the house on sketch, on the farthest sketch, why isn't the property line, we talked about this, why isn't that property line being on the property line of the house? Why isn't it following to the property line of the house? And we have nothing to secure that this property owner on this final lot, LSCG funding 19 LLC, we have nothing in writing that they agree to the taking of X number of feet of their property. We really don't have anything, so I caution what we're doing, and I really would like legal counsel to help the planning commission be involved in this and making sure that we get the right documentation from the landowner before planning commission even moves forward on this, as well as town council. We need to make sure that these documents are correct before we end up in a lawsuit by X, Y, and Z property owners to the left and to the right, of the north and the south, that says you took my property and I didn't give you permission. So I really caution what's we're being presented with.
All right, any other discussion? Zach, second and last.
Just one note to answer Chris's question, Jefferson County tax information has the house built in 1853, which does predate the Howell Brown map.
Okay,
And we are getting those signatures that Roberta mentioned.
okay, Zach. Yeah, all those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, motion carries 5-1.
Thank you.
Zach, after the meeting, can you send me that motion?
Yes,
Discussion
yes, I can.
Discussion action regarding the planning commission's recommendation to the town council on encroachment on Lancaster paper, Zach.
Yeah, this is something the mayor asked the planning commission to look at. There was a recent survey of Lancaster Paper Street, which connects Fillmore Street and Henry Clay Street. And there, we were asked to look at it for some observed encroachments onto the street. The planning commission did review this, the new survey. The finding of the planning commission, which was a vote in the majority, was that the current existence of the paper street, there's some trees and natural grasses, is consistent with the comprehensive plan, and that paper street should be used for walking paths and miniature parks. So at this time, we don't recommend the full removal of the large pine trees, but would recommend possibly reaching out to the tree commission to get an opinion. And B, trimming the branches of large pine trees so that the walking path can be maintained. The background here is that the trees were planted a while ago by a homeowner. The act of planting the trees on town right of way without permission is not good. But the planning commission, I think it was a unanimous vote, felt that the mature trees in the current state shouldn't be fully removed because they represent a good screen to the property adjacent. More recently, and this is not something that was before the planning commission, the lower end of Lancaster Paper Street has seen the addition of some grass, some sod laid down, and then a sort of rubber barrier that I think helps with stormwater. But those are physical, non-living, I guess the sod is, but this sort of rubber barrier is a modification, which is another new encroachment onto Lancaster Paper Street, so we should be vigilant. I believe we recommended that we add, I think this is in the process of adding the markers that we have in other paper streets that are no public right of way, so it's clear this is a path for the public to walk on.
And the administrative officer and myself were working on acquiring additional markers that I believe Wayne came up with years ago. Any question on that, Laverne?
Yes, real quick, I did happen to walk down there and the trees are very healthy, they're cypress trees, they're very green, they look beautiful. If there's any trimming going on, I hope they don't butcher the heck out of them, because I think they're perfect the way they are. I think that paper street is 20 to 30 feet wide, so I think there's plenty of room for a walking path. A human being only needs maybe 5 feet to walk, so I think there's plenty of room left. So I would not encourage harming the trees or over butchering the trees or over trimming or over pruning the trees. And I believe the previous encroachment of the driveway was approved for Lancaster, and that is recorded in the meeting minutes, and so I don't think that the proposal was to remove that driveway at this point.
But yeah, that, I guess that was also part of the survey, it does show that there are two driveways, one stone and one pavement, that do encroach on the right of way there. According to records, I think that the brick and stone one had permission to do so years ago. The asphalt one may or may not, but it's relatively minimal encroachment, so we recommend no action there.
I'll do that. Report of discussion on planning commission recommendation to town council on the proposed West Virginia DOH High School project.
One more report. So this one, this is from a while ago. Mayor asked the planning commission to review the West Virginia Department of Highways proposed project on High Street. You have the report, it's part of the packet, it's quite long. It represents several meetings the planning commission has had on this, several in this room, and then one where we went down, took measurements, observed the site in person. To summarize, there's some elements that we found good, but overall, the project itself seems to be larger scope than is necessary to achieve what planning commission thinks is necessary. And we recommend that the town council not go through the full project, but work with DOH and planning commission to get some elements of it. Bottom line is that the fully proposed project right now wants to take the entirety of High Street and shift it 2 feet to the southwest, essentially towards the hillside. And in doing so, would widen the sidewalk and substantially fix and improve the curve and the railing there. That project, it's very large, and it would result in, if you look at the engineering documents, about 11 or 12 inches of additional sidewalk, which is one of the main reasons given by the DOH to undertake the project. So our recommendation would be to, again, keep iterating with them. The railing that is there right now serves as both a barrier to traffic accidents heading into the sidewalk area. It also serves as a handrail for pedestrians. So it being in a state of disrepair is not good for the town, and would definitely recommend working to increase the strength of the curb and replace the railing. And if this does go forward in any means, the Historic Landmarks Commission and Park Service needs to be in the loop as well. But yeah, that's our, in summary, the report's super detailed. I thank Jesse for typing it together and all the planning commission for collaborating on that one.
Chris?
You know, I wanted to compliment the planning commission on the report. It was thorough and helpful. A couple of things struck me about it. The 12-inch widening of the sidewalk, the walkway, was deemed insignificant by the planning commission, and I wasn't so sure I agreed with that. Making that pass myself there, it seems like it makes the difference between people turning sideways and kind of shuffling through and walking or meeting each other two abreast. But the other question that I had, it was a comment that the stormwater. Situation there was adequate, and I'm wondering if that agreed with. Our stormwater study on it.
That wasn't part of the stormwater study, but I remember when we walked the property with DOH early on, that it would be baked in and not really a concern of theirs. And if I may add, I feel like it's a real safety issue, the way that switch point is. Where I live, I go down there a lot, and you see it frequently. People get to that switch point where it's very narrow and they choose the street. And we have not had a serious accident at this point, but I feel like that's a material benefit of widening the sidewalk.
Yeah, these are all good comments and you should express these Thursday at Canfield Church, because DOH is running a public meeting. And Zach, you should submit this for the record to them when you go there. George, then
I
Roberta.
got a question, Zach. Zach, this is a lot of work by planning. What was the vote on this report?
It was unanimous. He
Oh, it
said-
was
said
unanimous, 7-0?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's my question.
Yes, and if my recollection is correct, and the vote was unanimous, and I believe the recommendation is to not approve the design of the High Street as presented.
Mhm.
And we thought that the 12 to gain 12 inches, it was grossly high dollar amount. It was a grossly inadequate solution to what we have there, and we felt that the railing details and the retaining wall details just were a poor option. And so all in all, the whole package, we thought, I believe we turned down and refused to go forward with this package, and we'd like to see what West Virginia DOH is going to talk to us about on April 17th, that maybe there'll be better options, or they come back with a hold on the proposal, because this one is totally unacceptable.
Well, it's unacceptable to the plan.
Yes.
All right, Rich.
One more question about it, going back to the, and this is my long-term memory working that DOH originally gave us 3 options, right? And this moving of the street was just one option, so.
That's another thing you can bring up on Thursday.
There were 2 other things
There were 2 other
that
options.
planning commission did not consider.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes, if I may, yeah, we reviewed the, I think it's a 30% engineering report from this option, which from DOH's perspective was the one option they felt they could move forward with. The larger option was to make the High Street one way, which is a bit untenable for the flow of traffic down there. I don't remember, I think the third option may have been.
The third option was basically do nothing, just spruce it up a little bit, move the gutters, spruce the gutters up a little bit, not do much structurally.
Yeah, so yeah, the opinion of the planning commission is there's somewhere between the current proposal and the, as the mayor says, do less proposal. That where we could get some structural reinforcement of the curb and hand railing without having to shift the street. I think another concern, not to belabor this, but the historic brick materials, that section of the sidewalk have held up pretty well. They're very still in place, and they do still allow for adequate water drainage. So planning commission did have some concerns that if that is removed, widened, changed, and new materials are put down, that it would have a material effect on the drainage of High Street as well. So, but we think that this is just the first step in what will hopefully be an iterative process, and the Thursday meeting will be a great place to continue the discussion.
Thank you.
All right, Historic Landmarks Commission, Historic Landmarks Commission report.
I'm gonna make this 60 seconds, hopefully. We had election of officers. Wayne Bishop was elected as chair. George Jones was re-elected as vice chair. Captain McAteer re-elected as secretary and treasurer, what's on position. We spoke about finalizing updates for the appendix A. That's going to be done in May. We also had discussion about getting a short-term summer intern for helping us update the historic properties inventory. And Ms. McIntyre is putting out feelers about an internship. Those are the general items, for the meeting, for the specific Weaver Gillison House update. I informed the commission that, Kevin Hamilton, our OCO, will be reaching out to the property owners. I understand that's in the works. Concerning the wraps that's on the building. And then we received an update from the project partners, Innovative Community Solutions, highlighting the completion of structural assessment. And that was it. Thank you.
Any questions, George? All right, Water Department, general report from the PWA. Dave?
Hey, I'm kind of full of water. Last month I reported 58% in February. This month a little difficult to figure out exactly what it is. It's under 50%, somewhere in the mid to high 40s. Tough to exactly pinpoint it because Turtle Works has been doing a lot of flushing, and that really isn't unaccountable water. I just don't know how to do that. Probably the flushing lines that they've been installing. I would note that Tom Hall has completed his regularly scheduled shift work. Last 2 weeks, I scheduled him to train Jacob Lambert. Jacob's our new Class 2 operator. Tom wrapped up that training on Friday, and Jacob is now part of our regular shifts. So after a 3-year stint of a 3-month assignment, Tom's been let me talk a little bit about the projects going on. East Spring Street in Bolivar, that has been tied in. That is the one element of the project at this point that is complete, just in terms of the way they're doing this. Really with some kind of initiative and kind of attention to detail from the engineer from BDNF. When TerraWorks folks, we were able to do that without basically shutting off the town. And so that was really a positive aspect. We had planned to essentially this on Polk Street and all the water except for that which goes over to Clarion and the other side of 340, all the water comes down Polk Street. And had they had to shut off Polk Street to make that time, then everybody would have been out of water for that period of time, and then more impactfully, people would have to be under boil water notice for at least 24 hours. So again, with the engineers from GDNF and performing the Turtle Works, we're able to figure out how to avoid doing that. West Ridge, the mains installed, it's been pressure tested, and they've swabbed it out and tested the bacteria, so the main is in good shape. Still have to install laterals and tie that into the system. Columbia Street neighborhood is pretty much the same, with the exception right now they're out at on Washington Street in front of the CUB, and they are working with a new fire hydrant that will serve that end of the street. That neighborhood still needs to have all of its laterals installed and tied in. Pointfield neighborhood across the street, across 340, they're about 75% done in terms of laying in the mains. Then I have to pressure test those, do the back tees, bacteria monitor tests, and then do all the lateral work. Beyond that, Church Street, pressure reducing valve. Park Row, we're not going to be doing. Park Row is this part of the project, but we are talking about some work on Washington Street that we've come to the realization we probably ought to take advantage and do that. In this project, and so working with the engineers at PDNF out to figure all that. Zach. Zach.
I don't like, there's a clarification
In general,
It's good.
It's been a lot of scrambling. Kathy's been very helpful with all of the boil water notices every time, and they have up service or whatever. If they issue a boil water notice, Brian's been on the job to help affect some of the repairs. Figure out where the valves are to shut things off so they can make the repairs. So it's really been, you know, a bit of a scramble, but it's an effort to get that done, and it will continue until we're.
That's a question for Steve. Zach,
I will ask with clarification. You said the portion, very first part you were talking about, I think you mentioned over by the Clarion, like over that section towards Cavalier Heights. How much, I just didn't know, how much of that area do we service for the water?
So, okay, so we service Clarion, we service the KOA campground.
Gotcha.
We service all the houses over there by, it's not the Nash Farm, it is the Murphy Farm, the roads in there. And then, the parks main visitor center. And then go, you know, the other side of the park, road, still on that side of 340, and that's the whole, Whitefield and Cavalier Estates.
Gotcha.
Area. So we service all that, and then Columbia Street is, Columbia Street neighborhood is all county, with the exception of 3 houses that are involved. And that's everything kind of behind the,
Thank you.
Chris?
I just wanted to thank you and the staff for that last minute scrambling on last week. We were facing a Civil War roundtable dinner of 55 people. Lynn knows about this, and trying to figure out how we were gonna fill up the bathtubs with water ahead of time. So I really appreciated that work.
Now we tried, we were planning to, I think we're planning not to do it that week, but we didn't want to interrupt the school. While school was still in session, instead we were planning to do it this week. When the school's out of session, but we heard really from folks downtown and in Lower Town that this is school break week and they're super busy, and they really didn't want us to do it, you know, this week. So we're juggling, and we're not gonna be able to get in, you know.
I know there's been a lot of surprises, and we just really appreciate all the work that
There
you
will
all do.
be, I'll tell you, there will be, you know, we do this work over here on Washington Street with TRV, that will involve some very significant shutdowns. There's some discussion about pushing some of that work out into the fall, but I don't know how much, but it'll be good for so there will be some significant shutdowns. We're gonna do like this, directly to how anything is scheduled ahead of time. If it's scheduled, it's tough to kind of follow their workflow, the workflow changes based on things they hit, rock, it gets slowed down, right, things like that. They start moving a piece of ground. That's a little bit challenging for us, it's gonna be challenging.
Lauren, do you have a question?
Or just wanted to say thank you to all the waterworks, it is a team effort, and specifically, now that he's heading out, I think the town does, and the waterworks really owe a debt of gratitude to Tom Hall, who we were sworn to secrecy not to say all the ways that he helped us out. And that, thank you to him, for really getting us over some real tough times.
Yeah, I'm looking for a key to the town to give him,
Yeah,
so I'll come up with something.
for a certificate of appreciation, or we can honor him.
Proclamation or something like that.
The golden ridge.
Yeah.
Not actually gold,
All right, thank you, Steve. Water Commission, committee report, Mike?
Just to be short and sweet, last meeting, I talked about stuff with the aquifer that was going on. And I said there would be 2 motions coming forward, and I've got motion 1. The Water Commission urges the town council to strongly encourage the Jefferson County Commission to engage with the USGS on a hydrology study of the Karstock aquifer. Motion 2. The Water Commission encourages the town council to support adding a customer and ratepayer of the Harpersburg Water Works to a position on the Jefferson County Water Advisory Committee of Board. And I'll leave those with the recorder. And that's it.
And thank you, Marty.
So are you putting those on the floor? for
We
the
can't
vote?
because there's nothing on the agenda for discussion.
So that'll be on next month.
Okay, but next-
Does he need it sooner? Is there a deadline you need that information?
No, I don't think so.
Just get it to Patty and we'll put it for May. All right, Carol, entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn from Zach, second from Chris, discussion, no discussion, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, that would pass. We're
It's not long, is it?
at 8:48.